What happens if you pour beer on your basil plant? What happens if you pour beer into your basil plant? Not water it down, not spray it, but actually pour real beer straight into the soil. Most gardeners would tell you that's a terrible idea, maybe even a joke. But growers who've tried it are seeing something they didn't expect, and it's not what you think. Stick around because by the end of this video, you'll know exactly what beer does to basil, when it helps, and when it can quietly destroy your plant. Before we dig in, if you're the kind of person who likes turning kitchen leftovers into garden gold, hit that subscribe button right now. We post practical, no-nonsense growing tips like this every single week, and you don't want to miss the next one. Let's start with what's actually inside a can or bottle of beer, because this is where the whole story begins. Beer isn't just alcohol and water. It's a surprisingly complex liquid made from 4 main ingredients: water, malted barley, hops, and yeast. Each one leaves something behind that matters to a plant. First, water. Beer is around 90 to 95% water, which means the base of what you're pouring is exactly what a thirsty plant needs anyway. That's important because it means beer isn't some concentrated chemical bomb. It's mostly hydration with extras mixed in. Next comes the malted barley. Barley is a grain, and grains are naturally rich in carbohydrates, particularly sugars like maltose and glucose. During the brewing process, some of these sugars get converted into alcohol, but not all of them. A portion stays behind in the finished beer. These leftover sugars are food, not for the plant directly, but for the microorganisms living in the soil around the plant's roots. This matters more than most people realize, and we'll come back to it in a moment. Barley also contributes small amounts of minerals, including potassium, magnesium, and phosphorus, along with trace amounts of B vitamins. These aren't huge quantities, but they're real, and they're in a form that's already partially broken down, which soil microbes can access relatively easily. Then there's the yeast. Yeast is a living organism used to ferment the sugars into alcohol, and even after fermentation, dead and living yeast cells remain suspended in the beer. Yeast cells are packed with proteins, amino acids, and B-complex vitamins. When this yeast ends up in the soil, it acts almost like a slow-release protein snack for the microbial community living there. Finally, hops. Hops give beer its bitterness and aroma, and they contain compounds called alpha acids, along with polyphenols. In small quantities, these have mild antibacterial and antifungal properties. In the soil, this can have a double-edged effect, potentially suppressing some harmful pathogens, but also, if overdone, harming the very beneficial microbes you want to encourage. And of course, there's the alcohol itself, typically between 4 and 6% in a standard beer. Alcohol in concentrated amounts is toxic to plant cells and to the beneficial bacteria and fungi living in soil. It can damage root hairs, disrupt cell membranes, and dehydrate microscopic soil life if the concentration is too high. So what you're really looking at with beer is this: mostly water, a modest dose of natural sugars, a handful of minerals, a batch of nutrient-rich yeast cells, some mildly antimicrobial hop compounds, and a small but real percentage of alcohol. It's not a fertilizer in the traditional sense. It's more like a microbial feeding supplement with a few bonus minerals attached, wrapped inside a liquid that can also do harm if you're careless with it. Now let's flip over to the basil plant itself, because understanding what basil actually craves is the key to understanding why beer can help, or hurt, depending on how you use it. Basil is a fast-growing, leafy herb, and like most leafy plants, its #1 nutritional priority is nitrogen. Nitrogen is the building block of chlorophyll, the green pigment that lets plants photosynthesize, and it's also essential for building new leaf tissue. A basil plant that's short on nitrogen will look pale, yellowish, and stunted, with small, thin leaves. This is the nutrient basil demands most, especially during its active growing phase. Here's the interesting part. Beer itself is not a significant source of nitrogen, but the sugars in beer feed soil microbes, and those microbes, as they multiply and break down organic matter in the soil. Second on basil's list is potassium. Potassium regulates water movement inside the plant, strengthens stems, and improves the plant's ability to handle stress, whether that's heat, mild drought, or disease pressure. Potassium also plays a big role in flavor and essential oil production, which matters a lot for an herb that's grown specifically for its aromatic, flavorful leaves. Remember those minerals we talked about from the malted barley? Potassium is one of them. So here beer offers a more direct connection, providing a small but usable amount of potassium that basil can actually use to firm up its stems and support oil production. Third, basil benefits from magnesium, which sits at the center of the chlorophyll molecule itself. Without enough magnesium, older leaves can develop a yellowing pattern between the veins while the veins stay green. Again, this lines up with what beer contributes: trace magnesium from the barley grain. Basil also appreciates a healthy, biologically active soil. It's not just about raw nutrients. Basil thrives when the soil around its roots is teeming with beneficial bacteria and fungi that break down organic matter, improve soil structure, and make nutrients more available. This is exactly where the yeast and sugar content in beer does its best work. Feeding the soil's microbial life is, in many ways, more valuable to basil long-term than a one-time dose of any single nutrient. Finally, basil needs consistent moisture, but it hates sitting in soggy, waterlogged soil, since that leads to root rot and fungal problems. This is a critical point to hold on to because it directly shapes how beer should be used, which we'll get into shortly. So when you line it up side by side, basil wants nitrogen, potassium, magnesium, and a thriving microbial soil environment. Beer offers indirect nitrogen cycling through microbial feeding, a real but modest dose of potassium and magnesium, and, most importantly, food for the exact soil organisms basil depends on to stay healthy. The match isn't perfect, but it's genuinely logical, which is exactly why this trend isn't as crazy as it first sounds. Used the right way, beer can offer some real tangible benefits to a basil plant. The sugars feed beneficial soil microbes, which in turn improve nutrient cycling and soil structure over time. The trace minerals, potassium, magnesium, phosphorus, give a gentle top-up that supports stem strength and essential oil production, the very thing that makes basil taste and smell the way it does. Some growers also report that the mild antifungal properties from hop compounds can help suppress certain surface fungal issues when applied sparingly. On top of that, the process of watering with a diluted flat beer mixture can be a nice occasional treat that stimulates microbial activity in soil that's gone a bit dead or compacted. But here's where we need to pump the brakes hard, because this is the part most people skip, and it's the part that actually matters most. Beer is not a fertilizer, and it should never be treated like one. Poured directly, undiluted, and in large quantities, the alcohol content can shock and damage basil's root system almost immediately. Roots can lose their ability to absorb water properly, cell membranes can be damaged, and in severe cases, the plant can wilt and die within days. The sugar content is also a double-edged sword. While it feeds good microbes in small amounts, in large amounts it can encourage mold, fungal overgrowth, and even attract pests like fruit flies and gnats to your soil. There's also the issue of soil imbalance. Basil doesn't want soggy, sugar-saturated soil. Overdoing beer applications can throw off the natural microbial balance, encourage root rot, and leave your basil worse off than if you'd never touched it in the first place. This is a technique that lives entirely in the details. The dilution, the amount, and the timing are everything. Get those wrong, and instead of a thriving plant, you'll be staring at a wilted, yellowing mess wondering what went wrong. Here's exactly how to do this correctly, step by step. Step 1. Choose the right beer. A plain, basic beer works best. Nothing flavored, nothing dark and heavy like a stout, and definitely nothing with added fruit syrups or high sugar content. A light lager is ideal. Step 2. Let the beer go flat. Pour it into an open container and leave it out for at least a few hours, ideally overnight. This lets the carbonation escape, since excess carbon dioxide bubbles aren't beneficial to root systems and can disturb the soil surface. Step 3. Dilute it properly. This step cannot be skipped. Mix 1 part flat beer with 3 parts water. So for every cup of beer, add 3 cups of water. This dilution brings the alcohol percentage down to a level that feeds microbes without shocking the roots. Step 4. Gather your tools. You'll need a watering can or a jug with a narrow spout, so you can control exactly where the liquid goes rather than splashing it randomly across the plant. Step 5. Apply it at the base. Pour the diluted mixture slowly and directly onto the soil around the base of the basil plant, avoiding the leaves and stem as much as possible. You're feeding the soil and the roots, not bathing the plant. A good amount for a single basil plant in a standard pot is about 1 cup of the diluted mixture. For basil planted in open garden soil, you can use slightly more, roughly 1.5 to 2 cups per plant, since the soil volume around the roots is larger. Step 6. Water lightly afterward. Once you've applied the diluted beer mixture, follow up with a small amount of plain water. This helps carry the nutrients and sugars further down into the root zone and prevents the mixture from sitting concentrated right at the surface. Step 7. Observe the soil surface over the following days. If you notice any white fuzzy mold forming or a strong yeasty smell lingering, that's a sign you used too much or too concentrated a mix, and you should hold off on reapplying until the soil dries out and returns to normal. That's it. Simple in practice, but every single one of these steps matters. Skip the dilution or pour it directly on the leaves, and you're inviting the exact problems we just warned you about. Timing is where a lot of well-meaning gardeners go wrong, so let's be precise about this. Do not use beer on basil that is newly transplanted or still establishing its root system, typically within the first 2 to 3 weeks after planting. Young roots are far too sensitive to handle even a diluted alcohol and sugar mixture, and you risk stunting or killing a plant that hasn't even gotten started. Avoid using it during periods of heavy rain or when the soil is already wet and saturated. Basil's roots don't want extra moisture piled on top of already soggy conditions, and adding a sugar-rich liquid to waterlogged soil is a recipe for fungal problems and root rot. Also avoid applying it during extreme heat, particularly the hottest part of the day. Applying any liquid feed under intense sun can cause faster evaporation, leaving concentrated residue in the soil, and can stress a plant that's already working hard to regulate its temperature. The ideal time to apply this mixture is in the early morning or early evening when temperatures are milder. The sun isn't directly blasting the soil, and the plant has time to absorb the nutrients before the heat of the day sets in. Apply it to soil that's already lightly moist, not bone dry and not soaked. A light watering an hour or two beforehand is a great way to prepare the soil. The best season for this is during basil's active growing period, typically late spring through summer, when the plant is putting out new growth and has the biological demand to actually use the nutrients and microbial boost you're providing. During dormant or slow growth periods, the plant simply won't benefit as much, and you're better off skipping it. As for frequency, this is not a weekly ritual. Apply the diluted beer mixture no more than once every 3 to 4 weeks. Basil doesn't need constant feeding of this kind, and over-application is far more likely to cause harm than under-application. Think of it as an occasional boost, not a regular part of your watering routine. So what can you actually expect to see and when? In the first 3 to 5 days after a correct application, don't expect dramatic changes. The real activity happening at this stage is underground, as soil microbes begin multiplying and processing the sugars and nutrients you've introduced. By around day 7 to 10, many growers start noticing subtle but real changes. The leaves often take on a slightly deeper, richer green color, a sign that nitrogen cycling and chlorophyll production have gotten a gentle boost. New leaf growth may also appear a touch faster than before. Around the 2 to 3 week mark, if conditions have been right, you may notice sturdier stems and a slightly bushier growth pattern, which lines up with the potassium contribution supporting structural strength. Some growers also report a more intense aroma when they brush against the leaves, which tracks with potassium's role in essential oil production. By the 4-week point, right around the time you'd consider a second application, you should have a clear picture of whether it's working for your specific plant, soil, and climate. A healthy response looks like deeper green leaves, steady new growth, and a plant that generally looks more vigorous and full than before you started. And that's the real story behind pouring beer on your basil. Not a miracle fertilizer, not a myth, but a genuinely useful microbial boost when you respect the dilution, the timing, and the amount. Basil rewards patience and precision, and this is one of those small tricks that separates a good grower from a great one. If you found this useful, subscribe now, turn on notifications, and join us for more surprising science-backed garden experiments every single week. We'll see you in the next one.